Ambassador Alan Wright adjusted his formal Earth diplomatic uniform as he walked down the gleaming hallway of the Galactic Council's main chamber. Today was supposed to be a routine trade meeting, but the tension in the air felt different. After 15 years of Earth's membership in the Council, humans were still treated as newcomers by many of the older species. Alan nodded to his assistant, Kelly Thompson, who handed him the final briefing on his tablet. The Draconis delegation requested last-minute changes to the agricultural export agreement, she whispered. Again. Of course they did, Alan said with a sigh. This was the third time in a month. The reptilian Draconis Empire seemed determined to make Earth look bad. The enormous doors to the council chamber slid open silently. Inside, representatives from over 200 galactic civilizations sat in rising tiers around a central speaking platform. Some species looked almost human, while others were so alien that special environmental suits were needed for them to breathe the standard atmosphere. High Counselor Zixvora, a tall blue-skinned Zalarian with 4 arms, called the session to order. Her voice echoed through the chamber. The Council recognizes Ambassador Wright of Earth. Alan walked confidently to the platform. Esteemed members of the Galactic Council, Earth proposes a modest increase in our pharmaceutical exports to the outer colonies, particularly the new treatments for Rigelian fever that our scientists have developed. This disease has claimed too many lives, and we can help, the council members murmured among themselves. Most seemed positive, until diplomat Krell of the Draconis Empire rose to speak. The 7-foot reptilian adjusted his translator before speaking. How interesting that humans suddenly wish to send more shipments to the outer colonies, Krell said, his forked tongue flicking between words, especially when our intelligence reports show unusual energy signatures from these same shipments. Alan frowned. I'm sorry, but there must be some mistake. Our medical supplies are exactly what we claim they are. Krell's scales rippled in what Alan had learned was a sign of mockery. Our scanners detected weapons-grade materials in the last 3 human shipments. Are we to believe this is a coincidence? The chamber erupted in concerned voices. Alan tried to speak, but his microphone had been cut off. He looked to Kelly, who was frantically working on her tablet. Ambassador, something's wrong, she said quietly. The translation of our proposal is completely different in the council record. It says we're requesting permission to establish military outposts, not medical stations. Alan felt his blood run. Indeed, that's impossible. The translation was verified yesterday. Someone hacked the system, Kelly said. I'm trying to restore the original. But it was too late. High Counselor Zixvora raised all 4 of her arms for silence. These are serious accusations, she said. If Earth is using humanitarian aid as cover for military expansion, this violates our most sacred principles. Alan finally regained microphone access. Honorable Council, there has been a mistake, or worse, deliberate sabotage. Our proposal has been mistranslated. We seek only to provide medical aid. From his seat, Krell made a dismissive gesture. Humans always have excuses. Perhaps we should review all Earth activities in Council space. Commander Susan Miller watched the Council session from the bridge of the Earth ship Defiance, orbiting the Council homeworld. Her face grew darker with each passing minute. They're setting us up, she said to her first officer. Run a deep scan on the Draconis ships in the area. Something doesn't add up. The computer chimed moments later. Commander, we've detected unusual communication patterns between the Draconis embassy and 3 other species right before the session began. Susan straightened her uniform. Record everything and encrypt it. Priority channel to Earth security. Back in the council chamber, the situation was deteriorating rapidly. A vote had been called to investigate all human activities in council space and impose immediate sanctions until the investigation was complete. Alan stood his ground. I request time to present evidence that our translation was tampered with. We need only a few hours to recover the original data. High Counselor Zixvora looked down at him with her large golden eyes. The council has heard enough, Ambassador Wright. The vote will proceed. Alan felt a vibration from his secure communicator. A message from Commander Miller. Confirmed sabotage. Draconis diplomatic network infiltrated our systems. Evidence ready. I have proof of tampering, Alan announced, loudly. The Draconis Embassy hacked our translation protocols. Commander Miller of the Defiance has recovered the evidence. Krell stood suddenly. Lies. The human is desperate and making accusations without basis. High Counselor Zixvora raised her hand. Ambassador Wright, these are serious allegations. Present your evidence. Alan nodded to Kelly, who attempted to transfer the data to the main screen. But nothing happened. The connection is being blocked, she whispered urgently. Krell made a sound that might have been laughter. More human deception. They have no evidence. The vote proceeded rapidly. Alan watched in disbelief as species after species voted against Earth. Only a few longtime allies abstained. The final tally was overwhelming. Sanctions would be imposed immediately on all Earth colonies and outposts. As the council adjourned, Alan noticed Counselor Talanir, a small silver-skinned Eldarian, approach him with concern in her large eyes. This was unfair, Ambassador, she said quietly. Many of us know something is wrong, but the council is changing. Be careful. Alan thanked her and rejoined Kelly and his team. Get me a secure line to Earth. Highest priority. An hour later, Alan stood before a holographic projection of the Earth Security Council. He had just finished explaining the day's events. Senator Richard Wilson's face was grim on the projection. So they wouldn't even let you present evidence of the sabotage? No. Senator, it appears this was carefully orchestrated. Commander Miller has confirmed that the Draconis Embassy altered our translation and planted false readings in our cargo shipments. They wanted this outcome. The Security Council members looked at each other. General William Parker spoke next. This may be connected to the unusual military exercises the Draconis have been conducting near our outer colonies. Senator Wilson nodded slowly. Ambassador Wright, we've discussed this possibility. Protocol Omega is now authorized. Alan took a deep breath. He knew what that meant. Are you certain, sir? Once done, this cannot be easily undone. We are certain. Earth has tried to be a good partner, but we will not be treated this way. Execute Protocol Omega. The next morning, Alan returned to the council chamber alone. The room fell silent as he walked to the central platform. Esteemed members of the Galactic Council, he said, his voice steady and clear. As of this moment, Earth formally withdraws from all diplomatic relations with the Galactic Council and its member species. We are recalling all representatives, closing all embassies, and sealing our borders to council traffic. This is not a negotiation. This is not a threat. This is simply a fact. The stunned silence lasted only seconds before the chamber erupted into chaos. Alan turned and walked out, ignoring the shouted questions and demands to return. The Galactic Council had made a terrible mistake. They were about to learn just how much they needed humans and just how independent humanity could be. 1 week after Ambassador Alan Wright's shocking announcement, Earth space became unusually quiet. The last human diplomatic shuttle departed from the Galactic Council headquarters, leaving only Ambassador Kelly Thompson behind. She had volunteered to maintain a small unofficial presence, disguised as a staff member at an Aldarian cultural center. On Earth, General William Parker stood before a wall of screens showing the status of human colonies across the galaxy. One by one, green lights blinked to yellow, then red, signaling the complete shutdown of communication with non-human civilizations. How long until all systems are dark? He asked his operations chief. 6 more hours, sir. The outer colonies are taking longer due to distance, but all are following the protocol precisely. General Parker nodded. And the defensive systems? All activated, sir. The hidden platforms are now online around every human settlement. Council scans will show nothing, but any aggressive action will trigger an immediate response. Across the room, Dr. Eleanor Hayes worked frantically at her console. As lead scientist of the Prometheus Protocol, she had spent 10 years developing technologies that humanity had kept hidden from their galactic neighbors. General, she called, the quantum communication network is ready. All human ships and colonies can now communicate instantly without using council relays. General Parker smiled slightly. Excellent. The Council thinks they've isolated us by cutting off standard communications. They have no idea what we've been preparing. In her small apartment near the Council Towers, Kelly Thompson accessed the secret quantum receiver hidden in her jewelry. Messages from Earth appeared on her special contact lenses, invisible to any alien scanning technology. Council session emergency meeting scheduled for tomorrow, she typed back. Mood here is confusion turning to concern. Several trade ships already turned away from Earth space. On the Draconis homeworld, Diplomat Krell entered a secure chamber where his co-conspirators waited. Representatives from 3 other species looked up at his arrival. The humans have retreated exactly as predicted, Krell said, his scaled face showing satisfaction. Their pride was their weakness. Now their resources, technology, and military will be isolated. A small insect-like being clicked its mandibles. But the Council is already receiving complaints. The medical supplies for the Proxima colonies, Krell waved a clawed hand dismissively. Temporary discomfort. The humans will come crawling back once their economy starts to suffer. Then we dictate terms. Back on Earth, Senator Richard Wilson addressed the United Earth government in a closed session. For too long, we have held back our true capabilities to maintain peace with species who see us as nothing more than upstarts, he said to the Assembly. The Council's actions have freed us from those constraints. Operation Silent Retreat is not surrender. It is strategic liberation. The senators applauded. For 15 years, Earth had shared only selected technologies with the Council, while developing others in secret. The plan had always been in place, waiting for a moment like this. 3 weeks into the diplomatic shutdown, Captain Lisa Chen looked out from her observation post on Europa base. Not a single alien ship had been permitted into the Sol system since the withdrawal, but that didn't mean they weren't trying. Another Zilarian freighter requesting emergency docking, Captain, her communications officer reported. They claim their life support is failing. Captain Chen sighed. Scan them. Life support functioning. Normally, Captain. It's another trick to make contact. Send them the standard message and turn them away, no exceptions. The standard message was simple. By order of Earth Command, no Council vessels are permitted in human space. This is not negotiable. On the Council homeworld, the Grand Chamber that usually hosted hundreds of species now seemed strangely empty. Nearly a third of the seats were vacant as representatives huddled in emergency meetings elsewhere. High Counselor Zixavora looked frustrated as she called for order. The human withdrawal cannot be allowed to cause panic, she insisted. They are one species among many. Trade Minister Voxelara stood to speak, her tentacles rippling with anxiety. With respect, High Counselor, the situation is worsening. 17. Worlds are reporting critical shortages of medical supplies previously provided by human manufacturers. The Centauri exchange has dropped 30% in value. Entertainment systems on hundreds of worlds are non-functional without human update. Protocols. A murmur ran through the chamber. Counselor Talanir, who had warned Ambassador Wright, spoke next. We made a grave error. The humans were not given fair treatment, and now we see how deeply integrated their products and services had become in our civilization. High Counselor Zixvora's skin darkened with anger. You suggest we apologize to a junior species for enforcing our rules? I suggest, Talanir said calmly, that we were manipulated into driving away a valuable member of our community. And someone benefited from this outcome. All eyes turned to the Draconis section, but Diplomat Krell was noticeably absent. Admiral Joseph Garcia stood on the bridge of the EDF Challenger, a warship whose existence had never been reported to the Galactic Council. Around him, 50 similar vessels moved into formation, their advanced stealth systems making them nearly invisible to standard scanners. All ships report ready, Admiral, his first officer said. Begin Operation Perimeter, Admiral Garcia ordered. Establish the defensive line at the agreed coordinates. Remember, we are not looking for a fight. But if anyone tries to enter Earth, space by force, they will regret it. The hidden human fleet spread out along the borders of Earth-controlled space. For years, these ships had been classified as research vessels or trading craft in official documents. Now their true purpose was revealed, but only to human eyes. Dr. Benjamin Cole entered the final command sequence at his laboratory in the Rocky Mountains. The quantum mesh, a communication system that operated outside normal space-time, hummed to life. Connection established with all colonial outposts and fleet vessels, he announced to his team. The mesh is stable and undetectable by Council technology. One of his assistants looked up from her screen. Sir, we're receiving reports from our deep cover agents. The Rigelian medical system has completely crashed without our software updates. 3 other species are experiencing food shortages because our agricultural templates were removed. Dr. Cole nodded solemnly. They never realized how much they depended on us. Now they'll learn. On the 45th day of the human withdrawal, Kelly Thompson sent an urgent message through her quantum link. Council fracturing. 11 species have formally requested direct negotiations with Earth, bypassing Council authority. Draconis. Delegation under investigation. Zixvora losing support. The silent strategy is working. Senator Wilson read the report with satisfaction. The humans had not retreated in weakness, but in careful preparation for a new phase of galactic relations. Phase 2 would begin soon, and the Council would discover just how much power they had surrendered by forcing humanity's hand. 3 months into the human diplomatic severance, the effects rippled through the galaxy in ways few Council members had predicted. On the trading hub world of Nexus Prime, alien merchants stood before empty shelves where human goods once filled, the markets. Trade Minister Voxelara moved slowly through the market district, her 4 eye stalks taking in the quiet desperation. Where vendors once called out their wares with enthusiasm, now they spoke in hushed tones. The absence of human products had created holes in the galactic economy that no one could fill. Minister, the latest economic reports, her assistant said, handing her a data tablet. Voxelara's skin paled as she read the numbers. 17 major sectors showing severe decline. Medical technology down 60%. Agricultural production falling. Entertainment systems across thousands of worlds running on outdated software. How did we become so dependent on one species without realizing it? She whispered. On a remote outpost at the edge of human space, Captain Lisa Chen watched through powerful telescopes as another alien ship approached cautiously. Unlike the military vessels that had tested their borders in the first weeks, this was a small civilian craft. They're broadcasting on all frequencies, Captain, her communications officer said. It's a medical transport from Proxima IV. They're begging for supplies. Captain Chen frowned. This was the 5th such ship this week. What's their status? Life support functioning, but they claim their colony is suffering from an outbreak of neural fever. Without human antibiotics, they expect 30% mortality. Chen closed her eyes briefly. The severance was working, but there was a cost. 2 innocent lives. She opened a secure channel to Earth Command. This is Captain Chen at Outpost Horizon, requesting permission for humanitarian exception under Protocol 7. The response came quickly. Permission granted for medical supplies only. No personnel exchange. Standard security measures. On the Council homeworld, the once mighty chamber felt increasingly empty. Nearly 40 species had now declared independent diplomatic status, seeking direct negotiations with Earth outside Council authority. High Counselor Zixvora slammed all 4 hands down on her podium. This is unprecedented. The Council has stood for 12,000 years. Humans have been spacefaring for barely 2 centuries. Counselor Tala Nir stood calmly. Perhaps that is why they see solutions we cannot. They are not bound by our ancient traditions and limitations. They are primitives, shouted a representative from the Draconis faction, though diplomat Krell himself was still noticeably absent. Are they? Asked Tala Nir. Then why does your homeworld face energy rationing without human power cell technology? Why has your entertainment industry collapsed without human creative content? The chamber erupted in arguments. In her hidden observation post, Kelly Thompson recorded everything, transmitting it through the quantum link to Earth. Senator Richard Wilson reviewed the reports in the Oval Office of the United Earth Government Headquarters. The human strategy was working even better than anticipated. The Council was fracturing along predicted lines, and Earth's position grew stronger by the day. "It's time for the next phase," he told his advisors. "Prepare Ambassador Reyes to receive the first individual petitions." Ambassador Julia Reyes had once been a junior diplomatic aide. Now she sat at the head of a long table in the newly established Office of Species Relations on Luna Base. Before her sat representatives from 7 different alien civilizations, each hoping to establish direct relations with Earth outside Council authority. "Earth appreciates your willingness to engage in honest diplomacy," she said simply. "Each of your species will be considered individually based on your past treatment of humans and your current needs." A small furry representative from the Arctis Collective spoke nervously. "Our medical systems are failing without human biotech support. We offer exclusive mining rights to our moon colonies in exchange for resuming medical supplies." Julia nodded. "We will consider your offer. But understand this. We're not looking for advantage. We're looking for respect and fairness." In deep space, Admiral Joseph Garcia tracked a concerning development on his command screens. A fleet of 20 warships had departed from the Draconis, military headquarters heading toward human territory. Message from High Admiral Zorkath, his communications officer, reported. "They claim this is a routine exercise." Admiral Garcia smiled slightly. "They want to see what we'll do. Maintain stealth protocols, let them approach the boundary." The Draconis fleet moved with apparent confidence, approaching the invisible line that marked human territory. High Admiral Zorkath stood on his command bridge, his reptilian features set in determination. "No response from human defenses," his sensor officer reported. "Their territory appears unprotected." "Proceed as planned," Zorkath ordered. 3 ships will cross the boundary as a show of force. The humans must learn they cannot hide forever. 3 Draconis destroyers broke formation, accelerating toward human space. They crossed the boundary without incident, sensors detecting nothing unusual. "Continue inward," ordered Zorkath from the command ship. "Let's see how far we can." Without warning, the 3 ships stopped dead in space. Their lights flickered and died. Every system went dark simultaneously. "What happened?" Zorkath demanded. Before anyone could answer, all communication screens lit up with the same message. A human face, Admiral Garcia, appeared before them. "Draconis vessels, you have entered Earth territory without permission. Your ships have been disabled by our nullfield technology. They will remain disabled until you retreat. This is your only warning." As suddenly as they had died, the systems on the 3 ships reactivated. The vessels immediately turned and fled, back across the boundary. High Admiral Zorkath stared in disbelief. The humans had technology that could remotely disable their most advanced warships, technology the Council had never seen before. On her homeworld, Counselor Mira faced a desperate situation. Her species, the Lorians, were suffering from a pandemic that had already claimed thousands of lives. Human medical technology had kept the disease in check for years, but now it was spreading unchecked. Against all Council protocols, Mira ordered her personal shuttle prepared. "I will go to Earth myself," she told her advisors. "The Council's pride is not worth my people's lives." Her journey was dangerous, crossing disputed territory without Council protection. When her small ship approached the human defense perimeter, she broadcast a simple message. "I am Counselor Mira of Loria. I come alone to beg for help for my dying people." To her surprise, she was escorted directly to Earth and brought before Senator Wilson and Dr. Eleanor Hayes. "Your courage is noted, Counselor," Senator Wilson said. "Few would risk so much." Mira bowed her head. "My people were wrong to support the sanctions against Earth. I admit this freely. We did not understand what we were doing." Dr. Hayes stepped forward with a small case. "This contains the vaccine your people need, along with manufacturing instructions. It will be enough to start production immediately." Mira looked up in surprise. "You would help us just like that?" Senator Wilson smiled slightly. "We are not monsters, Counselor. But understand, this arrangement is between Earth and Loria directly. The Council is no longer part of our equation." As Mira's ship departed Earth with the precious vaccines, the news spread quickly throughout the galaxy. Humans would deal with individual species, but only those who approached with respect and honesty. By the end of that week, 63 more species had formally withdrawn from the Galactic Council, seeking their own direct agreements with Earth. The ripple had become a wave, transforming the political landscape of the galaxy forever. 6 months after Earth severed diplomatic relations, the once mighty Galactic Council chamber was half empty. Species that had been members for thousands of years now sent only junior observers, their full representatives busy negotiating directly with humans. High Counselor Zixavora looked out at the diminished gathering with poorly concealed anger. Her blue skin had darkened to an almost navy shade, a sign of extreme stress in Zalarians. "This session will address the continuing crisis," she began, her 4 hands gripping the podium tightly. "The human rebellion against galactic order must be contained before more damage is done." From the back of the chamber, Counselor Talanir spoke up. "Rebellion? They responded to our injustice. Perhaps we should discuss the real cause of this situation." The chamber divided into angry shouting. What remained of the council had split into 3 clear factions: those who wanted to apologize to humans, those who wanted to attack Earth, and those seeking a neutral position until more information was available. High Admiral Zorkath rose from the military section. The Draconis commander still fumed from the humiliation of his failed show of force. "Enough talk. The humans have revealed dangerous technologies they kept hidden from the Council. This alone proves their dishonesty. We must form a united fleet to show them the consequences of their actions." Meanwhile, on Earth's moon base, Dr. Benjamin Cole put the finishing touches on the quantum mesh communication system. What had begun as an emergency measure was now a galaxy-spanning network, connecting all human settlements and ships, completely independent from Council systems. "The final nodes are active, Senator," he reported to Richard Wilson, who watched from a holographic projection. "Every human outpost can now communicate instantly without any possibility of Council interception." Senator Wilson nodded with satisfaction. "And our visitors?" Dr. Cole smiled slightly. "The representatives from the 23 species we've approved for direct relations have been given limited access to basic mesh functionality. They're quite impressed." On the observation deck above them, Ambassador Julia Reyes was conducting those very negotiations. The alien representatives watched in amazement as messages appeared instantly on screens, bypassing the light speed limitations that Council technology still faced. "This communication system alone would revolutionize our medical response times," said the representative from Proxima 4, a tall being with silvery skin. Julia nodded. "Earth is prepared to share certain technologies, but only with trusted partners who recognize our sovereign rights. Each agreement will be species to species, with no Council oversight." At a remote trading post near the borders of several territories, Captain Lisa Chen monitored an interesting development. Ships from dozens of species now hovered near human space, not in aggression, but in hope. "Another request for trade negotiation, Captain," her communications officer reported. "That makes 47 today." Chen reviewed the logs. "Approved species can proceed to the designated stations. All others must submit formal requests through Lunabase, the orderly process that humans had established was working perfectly. Species that had been fair to Earth in the past were granted priority access. Those who had supported the sanctions were placed on a waiting list, their needs assessed based on humanitarian concerns rather than political advantage. Back in the Council chamber, the debate had turned ugly. High Admiral Zorkath slammed his scaled fist on the table. "I have assembled a coalition of 30 ships. We will blockade human trade routes until they return to Council authority." Half the chamber erupted in protests. A representative from a small mining colony shouted, "Our children are already hungry without human agricultural systems. A blockade would starve entire worlds." As the arguments continued, a small, unassuming figure entered the chamber. Counselor Mira of Loria walked slowly to the central platform, her people's traditional mourning colors draped across her shoulders. "I have just returned from Earth," she announced, silencing the room. Every eye turned to her in shock. Direct contact with humans was still considered a violation of Council protocols. "My world faced extinction from the Lorian plague," she continued. "When the Council offered no solutions, I went to Earth directly. They gave us the vaccines we needed, asking nothing in return except respect." High Counselor Zix Vora's voice trembled with rage. "You violated Council directives." "To save my people," Mira replied calmly. "I chose life over politics, and I am not alone." She gestured to the entrance where representatives from 12 other species now stood. "We have all received aid directly from humans. We are all now in independent relationships with Earth." The chamber exploded into chaos. In her hidden observation post, Kelly Thompson smiled as she transmitted everything through her quantum link. The Council was fracturing exactly as Earth had predicted. On the Draconis homeworld, Diplomat Krell was dragged before his planet's ruling council. Evidence of his conspiracy to frame humans had been made public by his own rivals, who now sought to distance themselves from the failing plan. "Your actions have cost us crucial medical technology and trade routes," the Draconis Prime hissed. 17 mining colonies are now requesting independence rather than face shortages under our rule. The humans have offered them direct agreements. Krell's scales paled. The humans were supposed to break under isolation. How could they have been so prepared? The answer was becoming clear across the galaxy. Humans had been planning for this possibility from the moment they joined the Council. What seemed like a sudden reaction had actually been a carefully designed strategy years in the making. In his secure facility in the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Cole received an alert on his quantum mesh terminal. "Senator, we've detected an unauthorized attempt to access the mesh. Someone is trying to reverse engineer our technology." Senator Wilson frowned. "Origin?" "The Zalarian homeworld. It appears the Council is getting desperate. Activate countermeasures. Let them have a small taste of what happens when you try to steal from humans." Within minutes, every computer system in the Council's main tower experienced a mysterious failure. Nothing destructive, just enough to send a clear message. Human technology was not to be trifled with. As the crisis deepened, a surprising visitor arrived at Earth's security perimeter. A small diplomatic shuttle bearing the personal insignia of High Counselor Zix Vora requested permission to approach. Admiral Garcia contacted Senator Wilson directly. "Sir, Zix Vora is requesting a private meeting with Earth leadership. No Council. Authorization, no observers, just her." Senator Wilson considered this unexpected development. "The same Zix Vora who refused to even review our evidence of sabotage, who pushed through sanctions without a fair hearing." "The very same, sir. Her message says it's a matter of galactic survival." Wilson smiled slightly. "How interesting. Have her escorted to Luna Base with full diplomatic courtesy. Let's hear what the High Counselor of a collapsing organization has to say." As Zix Vora's shuttle was guided toward Earth's moon, news spread throughout human settlements. The mighty council that had dismissed humans as primitive newcomers was now coming to them, hat in hand. The balance of power had shifted completely in just 6 months. The next phase of humanity's plan was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same again. 1 year after Earth severed all diplomatic relations with the Galactic Council, a historic meeting took place in the newly constructed Unity Dome in Geneva. Representatives from over 150 alien species gathered for what many were calling the most important diplomatic summit in galactic history. President Eric Foster, recently elected to lead Earth's unified government, stood at the central podium. Behind him sat the architects of humanity's dramatic strategy: Senator Richard Wilson, Dr. Eleanor Hayes, Admiral Joseph Garcia, and Ambassador Julia Reyes. In the front row of gathered dignitaries sat Counselor Tala Nir, Counselor Mira, and, most surprisingly, former High Counselor Zix Vora herself. "Welcome to Earth," President Foster began. 1 year ago, a grave injustice forced us to make a difficult choice. Today, we gather to create something new from what was broken. The vast chamber was silent. Many of the alien representatives had never set foot on Earth before. They looked around in wonder at the architectural marvel of the Unity Dome, with its transparent ceiling showing the blue Earth sky above. Throughout this challenging year, humanity has established individual relationships with many of your worlds. Today we propose formalizing these connections into a new framework, the Earth Accords. Holographic displays activated around the chamber, showing detailed plans for a new type of galactic cooperation. Unlike the hierarchical structure of the Old Council, this new organization would be built on principles of equality, mutual benefit, and respect for sovereignty. The Galactic Council maintained peace for thousands of years, President Foster acknowledged. But it also preserved ancient prejudices and power imbalances. The Earth Accords offer a fresh start. In the audience, Dr. Olivia Martinez watched with satisfaction. As head of the Cultural Exchange Program, she had helped many alien species understand human perspectives over the past few months. Now her work was bearing fruit as former adversaries sat side by side, united in their desire for a new beginning. Former High Counselor Zix Vora rose to speak next. The once proud leader looked humbled but dignified. When I requested a private meeting with Earth's leadership 6 months ago, I came to demand their return to Council authority, she admitted. Instead, I found wisdom I had been too proud to see. Murmurs ran through the audience as Zix Vora continued. The council that I led for 200 years is now a shadow of itself. Over 70% of member species have withdrawn. Our economy has collapsed. Our authority is questioned everywhere. She looked directly at President Foster. Therefore, as my final act as High Counselor, I hereby formally dissolve the Galactic Council. Its time has passed. We must embrace the future that humans have shown us is possible. The announcement sent shockwaves through the assembly. Though the council had been effectively powerless for months, its official dissolution marked the end of an era that had lasted 12 millennia. As the summit proceeded, humans revealed more of the technologies they had kept hidden during their council membership. Dr. Eleanor Hayes demonstrated medical advances that could extend lifespans across many species. Admiral Garcia presented defensive systems that could protect civilian populations without threatening neighbors. Earth kept these advances secret, Dr. Hayes explained, because council regulations would have required us to share them before they were fully understood. Some technologies are too powerful to deploy without proper safeguards. During a break in the proceedings, Ambassador Julia Reyes approached a group of Draconis representatives. Unlike diplomat Krell, who was now imprisoned on his homeworld, these were new faces sent by the Draconis Prime. Earth has not forgotten the actions that led to our withdrawal, she said directly. But neither do we seek perpetual enemies. The Draconis Empire is welcome to join the Earth Accords, provided you accept the same rules as everyone else. The lead Draconis representative bowed his scaled head. My government wishes to express sincere regret for past actions. We have much to rebuild, including trust. Admiral Linda Howard, who had recently taken command of humanity's combined diplomatic military fleet, invited delegates to witness a demonstration that left them speechless. The EDF Challenger, Earth's flagship, activated a new propulsion system that allowed it to cross from Earth to Mars in under 10 minutes. The Einstein drive operates on principles that the Council believed impossible, she explained to the astonished observers. It's just one of many technologies we can now share with trusted partners under the Earth Accords. By the third day of the summit, 142 species had signed the preliminary agreement. Working groups formed to address specific areas of cooperation: trade, defense, cultural exchange, scientific research, and dispute resolution. As the formal proceedings continued inside, Alan Wright and Talanir walked through the gardens surrounding the Unity Dome. The former ambassador had been instrumental in the initial stages of humanity's plan, but had stepped back from public duties in recent months. Did you know it would work this well? Talanir asked, her silver skin reflecting the sunlight. Alan smiled. Not exactly, but we knew the Council was fundamentally flawed. When species that have been spacefaring for thousands of years treat newcomers as inferiors, simply because of tradition, something needs to change. But the planning, Talanir marveled. The hidden fleets, the secret technologies, the quantum mesh. You must have been preparing for years, since the day we joined the council, Alan admitted. We hoped for the best but prepared for the worst. When the council refused even to examine evidence of sabotage against us, we activated the contingency plan. The diplomatic severance, we called it Operation Quiet Revolution. The goal was never to withdraw permanently, but to reset the balance of power, to create a galaxy where age and tradition don't automatically outweigh merit and innovation. Inside the dome, President Foster was concluding the summit with the formal announcement of the Galactic Alliance, the new organization that would replace the defunct council. Earth does not seek to dominate, he assured the delegates. We ask only for equal treatment and honest dealings. The technologies we've revealed prove that humanity has much to offer. The respect we've shown to even our former adversaries proves we can be trusted with the responsibility. As the summit concluded, representatives from across the galaxy departed Earth with new hope. The old order had fallen, but something better was taking its place. The dissolution of diplomatic ties that had seemed like a disaster 1 year earlier had proven to be the catalyst for positive change throughout the galaxy. On the observation deck of the lunar base, Admiral Garcia and Senator Wilson watched the departing ships. Was it worth the risk? Garcia asked. We came very close to Galactic War several times this year. Wilson nodded slowly. History will judge, but I believe so. The Council was stagnant, corrupt in many ways. The galaxy needed a fresh start. And Earth at the center of it all, Garcia added. Not dominating, Wilson corrected. Leading by example. There's a difference. We don't want an Earth-centric galaxy. We want a place where every species has a fair chance regardless of how long they've been among the stars. As the last ship disappeared into the darkness of space, humanity's greatest diplomatic gamble had paid off. The galaxy would never be the same again. And for once, change meant progress instead of just the passing of time.